Welcome back. We have some heartbreaking news to share with you about a couple that recently appeared on The 10 Show.
Yeah, it was less than 2 weeks ago. Jaron Taaffe was on our show. He came on a special day. It was his girlfriend, Kelly McKeon's birthday, and he wanted to ask her the question. She, of course, said yes, and it was one of the greatest moments in their life. What we didn't know at that time was it was just days away from tragedy from Jaron. We learned over the weekend that he passed away suddenly at Temple University from an previously unknown medical condition, and doctors are still trying to find out exactly what caused his death. We were honored to be a part of that special moment for both of the families, and we want them to know that they are in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. It's difficult not only for the family, but for those who knew and loved Jaron, and even for our staff who only knew him for a short time. And we thought that, well, our viewers might be having a tough time as well. And I know you're tearing up as well. I wasn't here that day, and it brought tears to my eyes. Well, we wanted to get some expert advice on how to deal with losing a loved one. It's always a difficult thing, but when it comes so suddenly, it can be especially difficult to deal with. So we want to find out how to start the healing process. Maybe not for the family, but at least for those that know him. I know it's kind of a completely different calendar for them. Now, here to offer advice with dealing with these kinds of sudden tragedies, Dr. Michael Bridges from the Council for Relationships. Good morning, Michael.
Being here.
I hate to have to talk to you after such a tragedy like this, but I know you deal with things like this all the time. But it's never easy, is it?
It's never easy, and it's so heartbreaking when it's sudden and unexpected like this. I mean, one of the things that kind of unites us as people in some ways is we all have to deal with loss of loved one at some time. One of the things that's really uniquely tragic about this is just, I mean, it being punctuated with all this sense of hope, and you know, they're getting ready to get married, and they're so young, you know, there's not the time to kind of prepare yourself to say goodbyes, to let people know how important they are to you when it's a more usual sort of process of aging.
And for everybody here at the staff and everybody who saw that, we really felt like we had been invested in this special moment. And so, of course, in this time of loss, we really want to help Kelly and the two families as much as we can. So what are some of the things that you suggest to help?
Actually, I think one of the main secrets of kind of getting through a very tragic time like this, you actually mentioned friends and family, that this is the time, you know, not to isolate yourself. This is the time more than ever to kind of reach out to those that you love and to share, to talk, to cry. This is going to be, to some extent, a process that's going to take some time. And so being with other people, being with people that knew your loved one, that can share in that guards against the isolation, and in some ways starts answering the question that also takes time, that comes up. Why? How could this happen?
And for Kelly, I know, I can't imagine wanting to get out of bed. And quite honestly, as you put yourself in that position, I can't imagine. But that's why you say to surround yourself with people who knew and really start celebrating the life and the special moments that they share together.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I mean, each person kind of heals in their individual way, and I think it's important to kind of have time with friends, family, and there's also times for kind of quiet and reflection. The thing to be aware of is kind of, where does grief start to become something like depression? And so one of the things that you're talking about is kind of like, you know, if the person is really just struggling over and over again to get out of bed, or isn't getting out of bed, if they start to lose their appetite, if they start to
I mean, how in a case like this, how can you separate grief from depression? Isn't being depressed a normal effect of something like this?
I think actually for some period of times and weeks it is almost a normal reaction. I think the things that you look for that start to separate it is, one is the amount of time. That, you know, for a period of weeks to be completely shattered is absolutely understandable. And to some extent, I always tell people that the way grief seems to work, and I've had so many people sit in my office and talk about feeling like the grief is like waves breaking over them. They talk about a physical sensation that they think they're kind of getting clear, and then it just kind of broke over me, the sadness, and I found myself, you know, thinking of a moment that we were together and starting to cry again.
And that's normal.
And that it's normal, it really is. And but what kind of should be happening as time goes by, somewhere around 6 months or so, they should kind of start to lessen, and there should be kind of more periods of calmness, more a sense of also being able to reflect on really what was not just the tragic way this person's life was kind of punctuated and ended, but so much of the life that was loving and tenderness and fun, and the times that they really contributed, to their friends and family, so that the focus doesn't become just on the tragic.
And I know you said that Jaron would want Kelly and his family.
I think that's one of the things too. If anyone stops and reflects on it, that what would this person that meant so much, that I feel in some ways such a missing, an emptiness for right now, would want from me, it would be that I would want you to go on and live a good life, and to honor me almost by living a good life and having good relationships and honoring kind of what I brought into this world and what was good about me.
Dr. Michael Bridges, helpful information hopefully for the families, the friends, and anyone who has lost someone suddenly. That's good advice. We thank you for coming down on this morning.
And our prayers go out to the families.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back with more of 10.